I'm 91 years old, and I've spent most of my life waiting for a day that never came. Someday I'll wear the good dress. Someday I'll take that trip. Someday I'll say the words that matter. Someday I'll use the expensive perfume. Someday I'll read that book. Someday I'll go to the theater. Someday, someday, someday. And now I'm 91. And I've realized something that should have been obvious decades ago. Someday isn't a real day. It's not on any calendar. It's not a date you can mark. It's a lie we tell ourselves while we're actually just not living. My name is Mary Dawson, and on this channel, I talk about the things we don't say, about time, about regret, about all the moments we postpone waiting for perfect moments that never arrive. If you've been waiting for someday too, subscribe, because this is what I learned when it was almost too late. Today I'm going to tell you about all the things I saved, all the moments I deferred, all the life I postponed, and about the moment I realized I couldn't afford to wait anymore. I have a dress. It's blue, silk, beautiful. James bought it for me on my 50th birthday, 37 years ago. He brought it home wrapped in tissue paper with a card that said, "For my beautiful wife." I cried when I opened it because it was perfect, because he'd chosen something just for me, because I felt seen. And I put it on and it fit perfectly, and I felt different. I felt less invisible. And then I took it off and I hung it in the back of my wardrobe. It's too nice to wear, I told myself. I'll save it for a special occasion. And I waited for decades for that special occasion. Years passed. Elizabeth was born. Tom grew up. Maggie got married. There were events, proper events, moments that might have called for that dress. But each time I thought, not quite right. Save it for something more important. It was never important enough. James died, and the dress was still in the wardrobe, unworn. And after he died, I couldn't even look at it because it hurt too much to see something he'd chosen for me, something that represented being loved and knowing I'd never worn it. I'd wasted the gift, not by accident, but by waiting. 37 years. And I wore it 0 times. Do you understand how stupid that sounds when I say it out loud? 37 years of a beautiful dress hanging in a wardrobe while I wore the same old cardigans over and over. Until 6 months ago, until I turned 91, and I took that dress out. It was slightly yellowed, a bit dated, but still beautiful, and I put it on a Tuesday morning for no reason at all, to go to the library. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I cried. Cried because it still fit. Cried because James would have loved to see me wear it. Cried because I'd waited this long, because I'd waited at all. And I've worn it since. To the market, to have tea with Patricia, to no special occasion at all, because at 91, any day I'm alive is special enough. Then there's the perfume. Margaret gave it to me for my 80th birthday, a beautiful perfume, the kind that costs more than I usually spend on myself. She'd saved for it. She told me that. Saved money from her teacher's salary to buy her mother something nice. And I opened it, and I smelled it, and it was lovely. And then I put it in a drawer, unopened, unused. I'll save it, I said, for when I go out somewhere special. And years went by, 8 years, and that perfume sat in that drawer. I'd see it sometimes and think, that's nice, I should wear that sometime. But I never did, because there was never a good enough reason, never important enough. I'd put on my everyday perfume, the cheap one, and the expensive one sat there, waiting. Last year I took it out, and I opened it, and I started wearing it, just a little bit, every day, for no reason at all. And I smell it, and I think of Margaret. I think of her sacrifice. I think of how she chose me, and I feel it. I feel cared for. I feel loved. I feel present. And I've wasted all those years not feeling that. 8 years I could have smelled like love. And I chose to smell like the cheapest option instead. Then there's my mother's tea service. Bone china, beautiful, delicate. She left it to me years ago, and I put it in the cabinet behind glass. Too nice to use, I said. I'll save it for when we have special visitors. But special visitors never came, or when they did, I'd use the everyday china because I couldn't bear to risk damaging the good set. So I'd eat on chipped, mismatched plates while my mother's beautiful tea service sat untouched, gathering dust. I'd pass by the cabinet sometimes, see those cups, and think, someday. Until about a year ago, until I realized I'm 91 and I'm the only one in this house. And I took out the tea service and I washed it carefully and I started using it every day just for me. And it tastes different. Tea tastes different in a beautiful cup. Or maybe I taste it differently when I'm paying attention, when I'm treating myself like I matter. And it occurs to me that I've been so careful with things meant for living that I forgot to actually live. There's the book, a novel I've wanted to read for years. But there was always something more important to do. Cleaning, cooking, tending to other people. And I'd think, someday I'll read that, when I have time. But there's never enough time for someday. There's only time for now. I started reading it last month, finally, at 91, and it's wonderful. And I'm furious with myself for waiting this long, because I could have read this years ago, could have had this pleasure, this escape, this experience, but I was waiting for a time that would be more convenient, more appropriate, waiting for all my other responsibilities to be done. But they're never done. Responsibilities never end. So I waited for nothing, for an impossible moment. And I lost years of reading because of it. Then there's the theater. I've wanted to go for years. There's a small theater in Portland that does beautiful productions, but I'd think, someday, when I have someone to go with, when I'm dressed up nicely, when it feels like a special outing. And I never went. Until last spring, Elizabeth asked if I wanted to go, and I said yes, and we went, and it was extraordinary. And I was so angry afterwards, angry at myself, because I could have gone any time in the last 20 years. I could have gone alone. I could have had this experience decades ago. But I was waiting for perfect circumstances, for the right moment, and the right moment was 20 years late. And the conversations, the words I never said. There are things I should have told my children, things I should have told my friends, things I should have told James before he died. I should have said, I love you more often. I should have said, thank you for being patient with me. I should have said, I'm sorry, without defending myself. I should have asked, Are you happy? I should have admitted, I'm afraid, but I didn't. I waited for the right moment, the perfect circumstance, when things would be calm, when it would be easier, and that moment never came. James died without me saying half the things I needed to say, and I live with that every day. I live with the words that are still stuck inside me because I waited, because I thought there would be time, because I didn't understand that someday is a thief. It steals your life while promising to give it back later. Do you also have things you're waiting to use? Words you're waiting to say? Experiences you're saving for someday? Tell me in the comments, because I suspect you do. And I suspect you're running out of time, just like the rest of us. I've watched people die, not just James, friends, colleagues, people I knew. And do you know what they leave behind? Unworn clothes, unopened gifts, unread books, unused china. Catherine, she was meticulous, everything in its place, everything saved for the right moment. She had beautiful scarves, dozens of them, never wore one. Too nice, might get dirty. She died at 78, and her daughter found those scarves still folded, still wrapped, still waiting. Dorothy, she had a beautiful journal, wanted to write in it her whole life, but it was too nice, too perfect to ruin with her ordinary thoughts. She never wrote a single page. It's still blank. She died at 85. That journal will never have her words in it. Helen, she saved money her entire life, for retirement, for security, for emergencies. She never spent it, never took a holiday, never bought herself anything nice. She died at 83, still saving, still waiting, and her children inherited the money and spent it in a month and never thought about her again. These aren't cautionary tales. These are my friends. These are real people who lived their whole lives for someday, and someday never came. I don't want to be like that. I refuse. At 91, I've decided I'm done waiting. I'm done with someday. I'm done with not yet. I'm done with when circumstances are perfect. So I wear the blue dress, even to the market, even to the library, even for no reason at all. So I wear the perfume every single day, just because it smells like love. So I use my mother's tea service, because her china deserves to be used, because I deserve to drink tea from beautiful things. So I read the book, even if it takes me 6 months, even if I have to stop and cry because it reminds me of something. So I go to the theater, alone if I have to, because the experience matters more than the company. And so I say the words, late as they are, clumsy as they might be. I told Elizabeth, I'm proud of you, and I know I don't say it enough. I told Tom, you're a good man, just like your father. I told Maggie, you challenge me, and I've learned from you, even when it was hard. And I told them all, I love you, and I'm sorry for the years I was too busy being a mother to tell you that. It was awkward. It was late. But it was real. And I've learned something important, something I wish I'd learned when I was 50 or 40 or 30. I've learned that waiting makes things worse, not better. The dress doesn't improve in the wardrobe. It just gets older. The perfume doesn't smell better sealed. It just sits there, unused. The words don't become easier to say. They become harder. They sit in your chest and get heavy. The book doesn't become more meaningful if you wait. It's just a missed experience. The perfume degrades, the clothes go out of fashion, the moments pass, and you're left with nothing, with regret, with all the things you were saving for someday. And I've learned that life doesn't get quieter or easier so you can finally do the things you've been postponing. You think, when the children are grown, then when I retire, then when I have enough money, then when I'm healthier, then But there's always something, always another reason to wait. And before you know it, you're 91. And you're realizing that you've spent your whole life waiting for a better time to actually live. The perfect moment never comes. It's not coming for you. It's not coming for anyone. The only moment you have is this one, right now, today. And if you don't use it, if you don't live it, it's gone. It becomes yesterday. And yesterday is gone forever. So my advice, my 91-year-old advice is simple. Stop waiting. Start living. Use the good china. Wear the nice dress. Put on the expensive perfume. Read the book. Go to the theater. Take the trip. Say the words. Have the conversation. Make the call. Do it now, today. Not when circumstances are perfect. Not when you're more prepared. Now. Because you don't know how many nows you have left. I'm 91, and neither do I. And I refuse to waste any more of them waiting for someday. If this is resonating with you, if you're recognizing things you've been waiting for, if you're realizing how much time you might be wasting, I want to ask you to do something. Tell me in the comments, what have you been waiting for? What's your someday? Because naming it might be the first step to finally doing it. I'm going to use everything I have. I'm going to say everything I need to say. I'm going to do everything I've been putting off. And if I run out of time before I get to it all, then at least I will have tried. At least I will have lived, really lived, not just existed, not just waited, actually lived. And I'll die with fewer regrets, fewer unworn dresses, fewer unread books, fewer unsaid words. And that's all any of us can really hope for. Thank you for staying until here, for listening to what 91 years of waiting has taught me. If you know someone who's waiting for someday, share this with them. Tell them it's time. There's another video up there about living well in your final years. Go watch it and let's keep talking. Take care of yourself. And if you've been waiting for something, stop waiting. You've waited long enough. Write in the comments, I'm done waiting for someday. My life starts today. Not for me, for you. To remind yourself that you matter, that your time matters, that now is the only moment you're guaranteed. See you soon. And remember, someday is a lie. It's a thief. It steals your life while promising to give it back later. The only day you have is today. Use it, live it, enjoy it, before it becomes yesterday, before it becomes regret.